For me, Vice City was the first game that felt like stepping into a movie. You remember that feeling? It wasn't just about shooting or stealing cars. It was about watching one man climb from the bottom to the top, Tony Montana style.
Whether you played it when it first dropped, or you've only heard about it in passing, this is one of gaming's most iconic crime sagas. We'll trace the setup, the allies who built him up, the ones who turned on him, and the plan that finally let him settle scores.
So, how does it all begin?
With a man walking free after 15 years, only to be thrown headfirst into the most dangerous city of the 80s.
The setup begins in Liberty City, where Tommy Vercetti steps back into the world after 15 years behind bars. He isn't welcomed home with open arms. Instead, Sonny Forelli, his mob boss, makes it clear Tommy's freedom is also his problem. Rather than risk Tommy disrupting operations up north, Sonny sends him far south to Vice City.
What are we gonna do, Sonny?
We treat him like an old friend and keep him busy out of town, okay? We've been talking about expanding down south, right?
This job sounds simple. Act as the family's point man in a drug deal and establish a foothold in a growing market. Prove loyalty, make money, stay quiet. On paper, it's easy. In practice, it becomes the disaster that defines everything. The deal is staged on Vice City's docks at night.
They want a straight exchange on open ground. All right? Okay, stay tight, let's go.
Cash for product, in and out. But nothing goes as planned. The moment the exchange starts, the place erupts in gunfire. The ambush is quick and merciless. Tommy barely gets out alive, but his companions Harry and Lee are cut down in the chaos. The Vance brothers, local dealers tied to the exchange, are also hit, and Victor Vance is killed on the spot. When the smoke clears, the money is gone, the cocaine is gone, and Tommy is left with nothing except the sound of gunfire still echoing in his head. This wasn't bad luck, it was a setup. Someone wanted the deal to fail. With his crew dead and his mission in ruins, Tommy staggers into survival mode. He's stranded in a city he doesn't know, left with no resources and no allies. Worse, he owes Sonny Forelli both the money and the drugs. To regroup, he checks into the Ocean View Hotel, a neon-soaked tourist trap that doubles as his only safe corner. It's nothing more than a dingy room with a locked door and a view of a city ready to tear him apart. It's not home, but it gives him just enough space to figure out his next move. But distance doesn't shield him from Sonny. News of the failed deal travels fast to Liberty.
Better be kidding me, Tommy. Tell me you still got the money.
No, Sonny. I don't have the money.
And Sonny is furious. He doesn't care who attacked or why. It's Tommy's responsibility to deliver. All Sonny sees is his loss. And all Tommy hears over the phone is a demand. Pay back the debt. Excuses won't cut it.
You have my personal assurance that I'm going to get you your money back and the drugs, and I'm going to mail you the to those responsible.
Hey, I already know that.
And loyalty isn't protection. Overnight, Tommy realizes he's caught between two blades. He either finds the money and cocaine or faces Sonny's unpredictable range. That leaves the driving question. Who set this ambush? Was it a local gang trying to flex muscle? Was Ricardo Diaz the city's volatile cocaine baron moving against them? Or was the betrayal tied to someone even higher? This single mystery pushes the story forward because Tommy can't move without knowing who pulled the trigger on his life. For now though, Tommy isn't in charge of anything. He's broke, he's on the run, and his reputation has yet to exist. Think about it like the opening to a crime film. Most heroes start with a crew, a plan, and momentum. Tommy starts with nothing but anger. He's not aiming for the throne at this stage, he's just trying to stay alive long enough to solve the betrayal and rebuild the ashes. That's what makes him so vulnerable here. He's not feared, not respected, and certainly not in control. And in Vice City, trust is the costliest currency. If he wants even a chance to recover, he'll have to reach for allies in a world built on lies and double crosses. Every favor comes with a dangerous price tag. Every introduction could be the handshake that saves him or the one that tightens a noose around his neck. Yet, those choices can't be avoided forever. If Tommy wants to rise, he needs doors to open. That's when the other voices started shaping his path. People with power who offer both opportunity and risk. Before Tommy can climb, someone has to invite him inside. Think about it, player 2. What would you even do in Tommy's shoes? No crew, no cash, no backup plan.
You can't shoot your way out of every problem, and in Vice City you definitely can't survive alone.
So here's a question for you. If you can't rely on muscle, who do you turn to first? Who do you trust? Because the wrong call doesn't just slow you down, it can completely destroy you.
The real climb through Vice City starts with finding the gatekeepers of power, the people who can actually decide whether you're worth keeping around. For Tommy, that guide shows up in the nervous figure of Ken Rosenberg.
Ken Rosenberg here. Hey, great, hey.
Ken is a jittery lawyer who's better at knowing the right people than handle himself under pressure. He's the one who drove Tommy to the ambush in the first place, and now he's the one keeping him connected to the criminal currents beneath the city's palm trees. He doesn't look like much, but his address book is what matters. Through Ken, Tommy gets his first links to the real network that rules Vice City. One of those links takes him straight onto Colonel Juan Cortez's yacht, parked out on the water like a floating palace. The party there isn't just a party, it's where all of Vice City's big players gather under one roof.
I understand you are here on the behalf of Mr. Rosenberg.
Politicians, dealers, smugglers, and business types move around the deck like it's some black tie gala, but it's really a power meeting on neutral ground. Cortez himself is sharp, disciplined, and observant. He isn't the kind of man who throws barbed threats. He measures people. Tommy reads that instantly, and the takeaway is clear. This is someone whose respect has to be earned inch by inch. Being at the party also throws Tommy into the path of Ricardo Diaz, who makes himself impossible to ignore. He's loud, impatient, and every bit as brutal as his reputation suggests.
Who's the loudmouth?
Ricardo Diaz. He's Mr. Coke.
Diaz runs Vice City's largest cocaine channel, which puts him near the top of the food chain. Around him, everyone keeps their head down, because staying in his good graces can be the difference between getting rich and getting shot. For Tommy, standing in Diaz's shadow is equal parts opportunity and danger. Aligning with Diaz offers money, connections, and cover, but every moment near him is volatile. The kind of place where one slip of the tongue could be your last. Not everyone Tommy meets is larger than life. At the same party, he crosses paths with Lance Vance, whose energy is completely different from the polished figures around him. Lance isn't a mogul or a cartel head. He's a surviving pilot from the botched drug deal, still in shock from watching his brother Victor die in the ambush. That wound is fresh, and his impatience makes him reckless. What draws him towards Tommy is the shared sense of loss. They both walked away from the same massacre with blood debts unpaid. For Lance, teaming up isn't about business, it's about payback, about clawing answers out of the city no matter the cost. That bond feels honest in the moment, but it comes with its own problems. Loyalty mixed with obsession is never steady ground, and Lance makes decisions with his emotions first. Back on dry land, these connections tighten into obligations. Cortez expects discretion and muscle, Diaz expects obedience, Ken expects protection from the very sharks whose table he sits Tommy at, and Lance expects Tommy to never let go of revenge. Nothing is free, each person has terms, and each favour draws Tommy deeper in. What might look like a step up is really a test, and failing a test in this circle means you don't get a second chance. The best example comes quickly when Cortez hands Tommy a job that doubles as a rite of passage. He wants his former right-hand man, Gonzalez, silenced, accusing him of leaking information that endangered their circles. Cortez makes the demand brutally specific. The job has to be hands-on, up close, no distance between Tommy and the act. It's not just about killing Gonzalez, it's about providing willingness to cross a line in a way that can't be mistaken for hesitation. With a chainsaw in hand, Tommy delivers. The hit sends a message to everyone watching. He's capable of handling the dirtiest work and loyal enough to take orders without flinching. After that, Tommy isn't just hanging around the fringes anymore. He's marked as someone who can be trusted with serious business and feared for what he'll do to keep that trust. Seen from one angle, this part of the story feels like audition tapes for a crime drama. Cortez watches to see professionalism under fire. Diaz tests raw aggression. Ken clings to Tommy like a safety net, and Lance is searching for someone to turn his grief into action. Each expects something different, and every expectation shapes how Tommy's reputation grows. By the time these threads knot together, He's no longer the outsider with unpaid debt. He's a contender slowly being absorbed into Vice City's inner circle. But that acceptance comes with its own danger. Getting noticed by figures like Diaz is more than just access. It puts Tommy directly into the orbit of men who will use him as long as he's useful, and discard him the second he isn't. And one of those men above the rest, volatile, paranoid, and impossible to ignore, will soon decide exactly how far Tommy climbs and how much blood it's going to cost.
Right, okay, so Tommy's basically signing up to get used and kicked out, right?
Exactly. It's like joining a dodgy gym where the weights are actually trying to kill you.
Blood, business, and betrayals now sit at the centre of Tommy's rise. To move forward, he throws in with Ricardo Diaz, the loud, flashy, and increasingly paranoid cocaine kingpin who controls Vice City's main pipeline. For Tommy, working under Diaz isn't about loyalty, it's survival. Clearing out rivals, running high-risk missions, and acting as Diaz's trusted muscle buys him space in the city and a chance to measure himself against its most dangerous operators. For Diaz, these jobs are trials. He's testing whether Tommy can face fire without blinking. Those trials are brutal. In the mission, The Chase, Tommy races through the streets after a dealer, chasing him all the way through to a hideout on Prawn Island. In Phnom Fen 86, I think that's how you say that anyway, he climbs into a helicopter to gun down enemies and recover stolen cash. Then it's the mission Supply and Demand, a high-speed boat mission where failure means a bullet in the back or the waves swallowing you whole. None of these are warm-ups, they are deadly operations that weed out the weak. And each time, Tommy shows he isn't the weak link. He comes back stronger, sharper, and more respected. But no matter how much ground he gains, Diaz is still the one holding the power, pulling the strings, and reminding everyone who feeds them. That's where Lance Vance adds fuel to the fire. Lance's path is simple but dangerous. Suspicion turns into obsession. From day one, he suspects Diaz ordered the hit that killed his brother Victor, and that belief eats him alive. While Tommy sees working for Diaz as a smart long game, Lance sees it as a betrayal of blood. With each mission Tommy completes for Diaz, the resentment in Lance hardens. The rift between survival and revenge becomes impossible to ignore. And Diaz makes things worse. He rules through fear, loud, cruel, constantly hitting that betrayal lurks in every smile. He mocks Tommy, abuses his men, and pistol whips loyalty into anyone close enough to take the hit. Living under his rule means bending until you either break or fight back. Tommy senses it. Lance feels it even more. Eventually, Lance's obsession boils over. He makes a move on Diaz, rash, unplanned, and reckless. The assassination fails instantly. Instead of killing the king, Lance falls into his hands, captured and humiliated. The fallout is clear. Tommy has to dig Lance out, risking himself in the process. That rescue doesn't fix anything. It exposes the real fault line. Lance isn't just emotional, he's a liability, and with Diaz rattled and suspicious, the window for patience slams shut. Tommy knows the truth. Serving Diaz will only end up one way: to survive and to lead. He needs to cut off the head of the snake. That brings us to the decisive mission: Rub Out. This isn't some alleyway hit, it's an all-out assault on Diaz's mansion, with Tommy and Lance storming through the fountains, courtyards, and Golden Line halls. Gunfire tears through Diaz's guards until the old kingpin himself falls. The man who sat untouchable at the pinnacle of Vice City's trade is erased in a flood of bullets. When it's done, Tommy doesn't return to a broken motel room. He inherits the mansion itself, renamed the Vercetti Estate, his first true stronghold. The payoff is more than money, it's recognition. In that moment, Tommy transforms from Diaz's employee to Diaz's successor. But that victory carries its own poison. Sharing this power with Lance doesn't heal the fracture between them. It makes them worse. Lance resents being in the shadow, jealous of every decision, reckless with every move. Tommy might sit on the throne now, but his partner is unstable, and instability inside an empire is more dangerous than enemies outside it. From here, survival is no longer enough. Tommy has to expand, solidify, and turn chaos into something lasting. He's not just holding turf anymore, he's learning the rules of empire, and the first lesson comes fast. Violence may win territory, but to turn it into a kingdom, you need more than guns. You need businesses, fronts, and money that never stops flowing.
So survival's just not enough now, is it?
Nah, player 2, Tommy's got to turn chaos into cash, empire style.
Right, so guns can get you land, but not a kingdom?
Exactly. You need businesses, fronts, and money that never quits.
After Diaz's fall, Tommy doesn't just inherit a mansion, he inherits a question. How do you run a city without burning out like the man you just toppled? The answer comes fast, by turning force into structure. This is the phase every player remembers as building the empire. For Tommy, it means buying up fronts across Vice City, stamping his name on businesses, and proves power isn't lasting unless money backs it. One of the first voices to hammer this idea into him is Avery Carrington. Avery isn't a trigger man, he's a developer. The guy who understands that bricks and deeds can protect you better than any gun. He shows Tommy that buying businesses isn't just about cash flow. It launders dirty money. It puts a legit front on shady deals, and it locks out rivals because you literally own the ground they stand on. Through Avery, Tommy realizes that building a criminal empire means putting on a suit just as often as grabbing a weapon. Networking matters too, and Kent Paul fills that gap. Paul isn't a boss or fighter, but he's deeply wired into Vice City's entertainment scene. He knows the club owners, the promoters, the hustlers who whisper things others miss. His gossip becomes leverage, intel about who's vulnerable, who's making plays, and which door Tommy should be ready to walk through next. In a city where information is king, Kent Paul becomes one of Tommy's more valuable contacts. But there's also a mechanical truth here. You cannot finish Vice City's story without securing at least 6 front businesses and completing their missions. And of those, one is non-negotiable: the print works. No matter how much muscle you flex, the game demands you try on the role of businessman before you can move towards the finale. That shift is more than busy work. It forces Tommy to grow into someone who controls all sides of the spectrum: force, money, and strategy. Among these businesses, a few shine brighter. The Printworks is the crown jewel because it ties directly into the long game against Sonny Forelli. Tommy steals the counterfeit printing plates, sets up production, and uses the business to crank out fake cash. His plan is clear: when Sonny inevitably comes calling, he'll hand over phony money to stall him while keeping the real profits for himself. On the surface, it's just a printing shop. In practice, it's a weapon designed to cut his leash and buy independence. Then there's the Malibu Club. This isn't just nightlife, it becomes the headquarters for Tommy's biggest score. From here, he assembles a crew to rob El Banco Corrupto Grande, in the mission fittingly titled The Job. The crew is classic heist movie stuff. Tommy breaks safecracker Cam Jones out of jail. He brings in Phil Cassidy for firepower. He recruits Hillary King to handle the getaway driving. Together, they pull off the heist, and success proves Tommy can organize large-scale moves, not just street hits. The Malibu Club turns into more than a purchase. It's Tommy's staging ground for pulling jobs that elevate him from enforcer to mastermind. Other fronts round out the web of control. Cherry Popper Ice Cream Factory plays innocent behind its bright colours, but it's really a narcotics front. Kaufman Cabs puts a fleet of drivers under Tommy's banner, giving him both cash flow and Roman eyes across the city. Each one adds a new spoke to the wheel of his empire, turning random turf grabs into stable income streams. Interglobal Film Studio and Sunshine Autos add even more diversity, with movie money and car sales feeding into cash reserves and public image. Every property builds credibility, not the kind you show off in a nightclub, but the kind that says you own Vice City in practice, not just in theory. By the time the assets stand tall, Tommy isn't leaning on Liberty City's Forelli family anymore. He's built a true financial structure, one that shields him from cartels, rival outfits, or street-level chaos. For you as a player, this is the point where side missions stop feeling optional and start feeling like milestones. They're the backbone of Tommy's independence and the reason he's no longer anyone's errand boy. But stability doesn't erase old ties. Even as Tommy's empire grows, there's one shadow that refuses to disappear: the debt to Sonny Forelli. And that's where the story hits its final turn, when past obligations collide with present ambition.
Right, so mistakes are about to crash the Empire party. Now comes the final gambit, the moment where Tommy's rise collides with the last threats standing in his way. His empire is wide, the businesses are secured, and his crews hold the city. But the game forces a pointed reminder. The job isn't done until you defend it. That's why the mission, Cap the Collector, matters. It isn't just a stray side task, it's Tommy stepping in when mob collectors show up to tax his newly built fronts. They come after his properties like the printworks, shaking down what he fought to claim. By chasing those collectors off and making it clear the streets pay him, not Liberty, Tommy locks down his claim before the real storm hits. The printworks then carries its weight as the centerpiece of Tommy's strategy. After stealing the counterfeit plates in the missions like spilling the beans and hit the courier, Tommy sells up shop to press fake bills, not pocket change either. We are talking about printing millions, including a single payoff that amounts to $20 million in counterfeit. He knows Sonny Forelli will eventually arrive asking for his cut. The plan is to hand him stacks of phony cash, all while keeping the real profits safe. In theory, that makes Tommy untouchable. He satisfies the debt, he keeps his empire, and Sonny goes home none the wiser. But there's always a flaw in the armor. That flaw has a name: Lance Vance. We've seen him spiral through grief, jealousy, and impulsive choices. Now, with Tommy's empire running at full speed, he feels shoved aside, reduced to the sidekick in a grand story he expected to co-own. When Sonny finally makes his move, Lance can't hold back his resentment. He flips, he reaches out, spills everything to Sonny. The fake cash, the printworks, the plan to pay him off with $20 million in counterfeit. It isn't just betrayal of friendship, it's betrayal of the exact play that was supposed to secure Tommy's independence. That single act rips the plan open and puts a target squarely back on Tommy's chest. That betrayal triggers the story's climax, the final mission: keep your friends close. Sonny Forelli doesn't come quietly, and he doesn't come alone. He storms into Vice City with muscle, storming the Vercetti estate in a mansion-wide firefight straight out of a crime epic. You defend wave after wave of armed men while neon lights spill through shattered windows. Floors stained, halls collapsing. It's a siege at the very heart of everything Tommy took from Diaz and reforged under his own name. Within the chaos, the broken partnership finally snaps. Lance Vance shows himself not as a partner with doubts, but as an outright enemy. He arms up, throws himself into the firefight, and forces Tommy to face him as the traitor he's become. After all the missions, the losses, the moments of genuine trust, the partnership ends in gunfire inside the mansion halls. Tommy kills Lance, extinguishing the last tie to his earlier struggles in Vice City. It's grim, transactional, and deeply personal all at once. Because this wasn't just a rival, this was the one man who once understood what Tommy had lost. And then pushing through the gunsmoke, Sonny himself appears, still demanding his cut, still leaning on the old chains that tied Tommy to Liberty City. But this isn't the same man Sonny sent south years ago. Tommy fights through the last wave, kills Sonny Forelli, and in doing so, severs the leash for good. His old boss lies dead on the marble floor of the Vercetti estate, Liberty's power over him shattered. The man who once crouched in a broken motel now controls Vice City outright. The cost is plain though. Lance is gone, the circle of trust is gone. What remains in Tommy standing on the ruins of his own mansion, victorious but isolated. The city bends to his command, money flows through every sieged front, and his family of soldiers stand at attention. But the closest ally he ever had betrayed him and died by his hand. The lesson is sharp. In Vice City, power survives, trust does not. So this is the ending. Tommy wins. he crowns himself ruler of Vice City, free of liberty's chains, but he pays for that throne in betrayal and blood. It's a conclusion that feels complete, while still leaving an edge, because once the bullets stop, the streets keep moving, and it's that mix of power and loss that defines Vice City long after the final cutscene fades.
Vice City isn't just a tale about turf or cash. It's a crime story told against neon streets where ambition, betrayal, and survival collide. Tommy's rise shows how winning can mean losing the things that make victory feel human. He takes the city, but trust and friendship slip away in the process. What makes a game enjoyable is how it blends character-driven missions with the style of 80s crime cinema, pulling from influences like Scarface, Miami Vice, and even its own soundtrack to create something that felt cinematic and alive.